looked at the lineup of who was going to be on the call, and we definitely were missing out a little bit with Stacy not being with us, but that there's a lot of torch passing that we have on the call tonight. And what I want to know, and what the world wants to know, and by world I mean really just me, because I'm probably the only one that watches these things from beginning to end, but maybe some of the other alumni do. I want to know how you guys ended up at the College of Charleston. I want to know how you ended up in theater. And I know a bunch of you like came to the school, or a couple of you planning to do theater from the beginning, but I know some of you didn't. And I want to know how you found CFC and the department itself. And I want to know like your favorite story of working in the shop. And Mike, because you are the first of the crew to graduate, I believe.
Nah, Tim was.
Tim? Oh, well then, Tim, I'm going to have you start, and we're going to work our way down.
Technically the ranking member.
Yeah.
So why Charleston?
Mm-hmm.
That is actually a funny story. I decided I wanted to go to College of Charleston when I wanted to be an ophthalmologist, which is actually what I had set out to do. About 5 years before I started school. And there was this whole speech contest thing and a scholarship and blah, blah, blah. And years later, I said, you know what? I really do love the idea of shooting lasers into people's eyeballs, which is basically what I wanted to do. But I also like making really weird crap. And I liked, at the time, still being on stage a lot. So I decided to go, and Spoleto. I had been in Spoleto a couple times, and it really endeared me to Charleston. I just thought, art, speech, awesome. So the funny part is, in hindsight, had I known then what I know now, I may have tried to further pursue North Carolina School of the Arts, which is where I currently work full time in the film school as my first job, because of the specific TD program. But then I also look at the experience I had and the people that I met and spent time with, and Charleston, and loved it all. And I'm not sure that, it's hard to say. Going back in time, I may have looked harder at where I'm at now as a job. But anyway, so I just decided I wanted to go to school there. They gave me a lot of money too, and that helped clinch the decision. So it was kind of a done deal at that. I did go in with the intention of majoring in theater. At the time, it was going to be both acting and scenic tech. By the time I hit my quote unquote senior year, the pre-senior year summer, I was pretty done with things. I was done with the administration of the program.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, my papa had retired. Rick Cole had left.
Yeah.
And some of those feelings about the admin may have come from that direction to some degree. Anyway, but I was also enough credits ahead that I just decided that's why I graduated in December. Because I didn't need to stay, and I was ready to get the hell out of there at the moment and go start working on films, which was my goal. I left there December 98 with the intention of moving back to the Charlotte area and working in film. And after several months with the Stagehands Union and doing some other gigs, including a little World Championship Wrestling, which I know you're fond of, John.
Nice.
I did get on The Patriot, and that was the second major motion picture that I worked on. So, and then it wasn't too long after that I ended up with my first full-time gig out of school as technical director for the Charlotte Repertory Theater.
Very nice.
the end of the day, sadly, at that point, film was drifting away. The first wave was kind of over. We've had waves in the Carolinas in film production. And, for different reasons, those have come and gone. But we're hoping to get some of that back.
Yeah. Well, there was a specific reason at that time period, if you remember. I was in the movie union after. Don't you remember the flag boycott that caused all the film to go away?
So there was multiple. At that point, it was multiple things. There was the early politics, which was the flag boycott. But
right.
So also all the subs had gotten really greedy and were raising prices like crazy, and that's when all the producers said, "Yeah, you know what? They're giving us money to do these films up in Canada, so we're gonna shift gears." You got to remember, part of the onset of that was how cheap and effectively we were able to do things in Carolinas, and what a pull from California that caused at the time.
Yeah.
92, 93-ish was when the wave started coming east. And that's what we were watching my last couple years in school. We were looking like every 2 weeks another film was hiring crews, and we're like, oh,
yeah. I remember Stacy worked on Bagger Vance.
And I worked on Deceiver while I was still in school. That was the first major motion picture I worked on while I was a student at Charleston. Because I'd finish classes and then go march up King Street to the production shop and see Tim Roth walking out the other way or something weird like that. But it did go away. It did come back, and we lost it again. This time to Atlanta studio owners funding North Carolina legislative campaigns to kill the tax incentives.
Wow.
The last
welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what, Tim? I will say this of your time at CofC. Your second semester of your freshman year was first semester of my freshman year.
Right, you came in a semester late.
Yeah, because I had the same attitude that you had leaving CofC as me leaving my high school in hometown. And I said, fuck this. I'm just have all the credits. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go ahead and start CofC. And you and Stephen King and I all had like the full meal plan. And I don't know how we got connected, but the three of us got into a habit of having dinner together every night.
Just get connected stall to stall to stall.
That was in the back room of the cafeteria.
Yeah, we'd always go away from everybody else.
You don't want to be
and like I know that like we had that moment in time.
I still maybe somewhere have silverware.
Right, who doesn't?
From when
that's where it's from.
From when we were eating dinner back there that year and found their catering racks and started parceling off a knife, spoon, fork set at a time. Because they were better than the normal cafeteria silverware. What do you do? We were poor theater kids.
Right.
But yes, you're right.
I look back on that. I know that like within the department, you, Steve, and I kind of all had our different, we ended up going kind of our different paths, but I still look at that time period. It was just like so nice to have you and Steven as I was trying to like acclimate to what the fuck. I had just turned 18 when I showed up.
What am I doing?
What? So I'm really just coming around saying I value the fact that we are here decades later and being able, we're still friends. And it was great seeing you over Christmas break last year. I saw Stacy and Tim and I met for drinks in December.
Charlotte or Atlanta or where?
In Atlanta. Tim was down.
Okay.
My sister lives in Atlanta up in Sandy Springs. So she and her family are there. And so we get down to Atlanta normally on average once a year. things have been. We were supposed to go down there actually a couple months ago for my birthday, and then they had a neighbor scare, COVID thing, blah blah blah, and decided it. At the time it changed plans. So hopefully we'll get to see them closer to Christmas.
Yeah. My parents are 77.
Did I answer your actual question, or did I do like Trump in a debate and kind of answer some other question that wasn't asked?
Actually, believe it or not, you answered the question and more so.
Okay.
Which I appreciate, because I really want to know, like, what did you end up doing afterwards as well? How did you parlay, like, not just find CFC and find the department, but how have you parlayed things into your future? And you totally did that without prompting.
Well, and I guess if to add one more thing is that I am very proud of the fact that I do for a living what I went to school to learn.
Amen.
And I make my living in entertainment still, and I love the fact that I sort of honor my school papa Rick Cole by working at a great college program, university conservatory, helping kids learn to do. The odd part is I tell a lot of people I don't teach my kids how to do what I do, but I do teach them how to communicate and interact with the people that do what I do. Because they're going out to be production designers, art directors, construction, not really technical directors and supervisors. That's a different program at our school. But what I do at the film school is a valuable part of how we're able to achieve what we do. On top of that, my fiance and I, who's an amazing scenic charge artist, run a professional fabrication company called Majestic Scenic. And we've been lucky enough to grow over the last 4 years up until we had to slow things down in a hot way. Everything's kind of on standby. But, we did a couple of Netflix specials last summer for Dion Cole and Patton Oswalt. And if you haven't had a chance to see them, go check them out. They're pretty funny. Patton one looks pretty damn hot. I'm proud of that.
Actually, the Patton Oswalt one looks really good. Tim helped me out over the summer. I was virtually teaching a high school theater backstage course, and although the kids called in sick that day, but we recorded the fucker anyway and like just posted it on YouTube for them to take a look at. And by the way, the fact that you decided to listen to music while you carved shit got me flagged for not being able to make any money off of it.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because you started playing Queen, and it got flagged for this is no longer eligible. And it's not. I don't even meet the threshold on YouTube to be able to make any money off of anything, so it's not a problem.
That's unfortunate.
That's what this is about.
But on that call, I made sure I took time to praise Tim on the Patton Oswalt set, because Heather, my wife, and I, we watch a ton of comedians on Netflix. My wife loves watching stand-up, and Tim had told me that he had done one. I was like, okay, that's great. It's probably going to be a fabricated brick wall with some pipes. Like that's what we see behind every single one. And I pull up the Patton Oswalt one, and it's like a California exterior of a house, like a
house.
Yeah, it's
facade thing. You have to, and it's a elliptical dais with LED edge. There's a bush and a fence and a tree, palm tree.
Significant.
Set, in other words.
It was fairly significant. So that was hopefully we're both super stoked about when we can get back to that. When these things do it. We're also both, just to throw one very last thing in there, we're both involved because this actually is something that a lot of folks that maybe watch this or you might tell about would find useful. Our friend of ours started a venture called Train Cycle, which is a host of different entertainment industry faceted individuals who are able to do online training courses from singing to sewing to prop making to scenic tech, all sound engineering, lighting design, blah, blah, blah. So look it up, traincycle.org. I'm on there we actually did an interview a couple weeks ago where I was one of the guests. Check it out if you get a chance. This is the kind of thing where you can basically order a lesson from one of these experts for your class if that's part of what your life involves. If you're teaching how to do things in the arts and entertainment and you want somebody to do a lecture on whatever, check it out.
Nice. What just happened? Did someone just fart?
Bill
No,
just started
Phil's
at the
got some weird
Galaga.
sound happening.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, what set or lights, whatever, what design at CFC were you the most proud of?
I mean, it's hard not to say Suburbia.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was great.
Honest to God, it's a dead straight toss up between Short Eyes and Suburbia. Short Eyes was my first, Suburbia was my last. I felt like I left marks with both of them in a lot of ways, from the design side and just kind of the use of space side.
Well, Tim, I'm going to let you have both because they're different spaces. They're different spaces. And so they're different challenges.
They were totally different shows. Again, Short Eyes was a real coming of age kind of thing because it was the first time. I actually have to be honest. It wasn't the first time I was asked to design a show. I was asked to design Henry V. And I said, I don't think I'm ready. And I think that's when Steve Bright stepped in and did the design for it. And I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. But I think that was the second semester of my freshman year. And I was just like, this is great. I love doing what we're doing. Because I jumped in feet first with Four Musketeers, and I was in that cast, and I was helping build that show. And that was everything I wanted. And that was a great set. That was one of the last big Jeff Fracanja sets, wasn't it, Mike?
Which one?
No, he did Dancing at Lunasa. That was his final set.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I just meant it was one of his last big.
Okay.
Musketeers was a engineering. I mean that.
Yeah.
Remember the bridge?
Yeah.
And Mike, you were the fly on that, right? Of get that bridge.
Yeah,
up?
it's funny. I was just thinking about that bridge tonight, leading up to this, which is ironic because of I was obviously counterweighted, but for whatever reason, and I never understood it, but that bridge, when it would come down, it was still floating, I guess, over where it was supposed to set down. So we would have to grab 3 people and grab the rope and pull the weight of the bridge to get it to set in place. And then Joe Green would always have to snub with a rope to hold it in place so the bridge wouldn't be floating. That would be sitting flat on its. I never understood why, why they couldn't have rigged the counterweight up to where it would actually sit properly. But yeah, it never did. It all.
You're not the NASA scientist.
That's true. I don't either, but I just remember, that was, and for that to be my first show was it was an amazing sort of wow, this is the department I'm in, this is the program I'm in.
I mean, that was about as big as it got as far as production.
It was, in a lot of ways, and we've talked about this, or I've talked about this with several of the people on it. Those sort of feel like the golden years of that program to a lot of people, in certain ways. But I was just, again, I was thrilled to be on stage with that. I had not a speaking line in that show. I was one of 2 freshmen. It was me and Robert C. were the 2 cast freshmen.
Yep.
And but I had a hell of a sword fight down center.
You did.
That Evan choreographed, and I think I was fighting 3 people at one point after getting tossed over by Blaze from the upper level. I don't know if you remember the one night that I slid off the front of the stage and almost ended up in an old lady's lap.
Yep.
Tabard over my head, holding a rapier. It was great.
So two things on that. There's another person on this call that also has experience with being tossed around in a show in a fight with Blaze. That would be Phil. Phil, hold on to the concussion story until we get around to you. But yes. And also, Tim and Mike, I just want to give you guys a big thank you for being involved in the show. That was a lock for me coming to the College of Charleston. I had been on a whirlwind tour of trying to figure out where I was going to go. And I told my parents, I'm not going anywhere unless I see a show first. And all the shows sucked. They were all like bad high school shows. And when they pitched, my parents pitched the idea of going to CFC.
Charleston.
And I was like, I'm not going there twice. So we better go there for just to see a show. I'm doing it all at once because a couple schools we had gone up and we thought they were nice. And then we went back another time for a show. And I was like, okay, this sucks. And we went up and we saw Four Musketeers and we didn't even get up for intermission. We all just went, oh my God. And it was a lot. So thank you guys for whatever you did on that show because you all played a part.